What up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Road to Glory Career Mode. This one is episode number 42, and today we're going to be embarking on the CONFED Cup with England. I saw a couple of comments asking me if I'd play it, so I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead. Now, these videos will be clearly titled, so if you don't want to watch some international gameplay and you want to miss this episode, then you can click off it, and that's by all means fine with me. I will title the videos quite specifically so you'll know when we're back to seeing Crew Alexandra and the transfer window. As of right now, we're not into the next season, so I don't know the budget or anything like that. I'm not going to spoil it. We'll wait and see what's going to happen next episode. But if you are interested in some international gameplay and an international competition with England, then this is the episode for you. We've got the entire group stage to look back on and see what happened when we played the CONFED Cup with England, of course. Next episode, if we get through, I'm going to go back to live, but then when we get finally back to the crew side of things, we'll go post-com. I know, it's a lot to take in, but hopefully you guys are having a great Saturday as well. As of right now, I'm just recording this commentary before I go out to work. Got a few hectic days ahead in terms of work, so if it does affect any of the videos, I apologise in advance. But going into the group stage, we were drawn against Uruguay, Australia and Argentina for the three other teams joining England in this particular group. It's a strong group, and it's one that they might struggle to get out of, especially we're playing with the sliders as they were at club level with Crew. And it's quite weird, because obviously this is a massive step up in the team that you've got. When you've got England comparing it to Crew, pretty much 90% of the team are already better than the Crew side that I have. So I was feeling pretty confident going into the games, but then I don't know what happened to me. It was like I just couldn't get used to playing the way that England had set up. So like I'd set up the same way. I took it from a 5 at the back, which is what they were playing previously, and switched it to a 4-3-3. And we had Rashford, Kane and Sterling up front, Ali, Winks and Oxlade-Chamberlain in the midfield. And then the back four and the goalkeeper, who actually didn't start Green, even though he's called up to the England side, of course, the Crew goalkeeper. I didn't start him. We started Jack Butland for the first game. And Suarez gave Uruguay the lead inside the 62nd minute, turning on the edge of the area and firing a left-footed strike past Jack Butland to make the score 1-0. At that point, I hadn't really done too much. So you can see me trying to really change the dynamic of the side here, just trying to see something that's going to work. Ended up taking off, I do believe, Oxlade-Chamberlain, bringing on Loftus-Cheek. And, of course, I put Ali back in the side because I wasn't prepared to take him off. He's such a beast. But, yeah, so we put back on Loftus-Cheek and took off Chamberlain to try and change something. I just wanted a bit of power in the midfield, and that's what Loftus-Cheek gives you. As he lays the ball out wide here to Shaw. Shaw back into Loftus-Cheek. Lovely little turn. Gets it towards Ben Brereton. And the Crew man, the top scorer of the Premier League, gave us an equaliser in the 67th minute. 5 minutes after going 1-0 down, it just had to be Ben Brereton to score our first goal of this competition. He wasn't starting the game, I had. We did start with Harry Kane, but he did pick up an injury, did the Spurs forward, which meant he had to go off, and I had the choice of Tammy Abraham or Ben Brereton. I went with form over rating, and that's exactly why we got back on level terms. Ben Brereton scoring. He scored so many in the Premier League this season, it's not even funny. But this time around, we needed him to do it at England level, and he does it indeed. As you can see, the match facts, though, it wasn't convincing from us. We didn't play the greatest football in the world, and we were quite lucky to actually get away with a point there. So it's still a decent point, and it's still a point that I'll take, but we need to play better. If we want to get out of the group, we definitely have to play better than that. The next game was against Australia. And again, with the sliders set to the way they are, I didn't know if I should have changed the side up or anything. I went again with a 4-3-3, but with the injury to Harry Kane, it was a 5-day injury, which meant he had to miss this game against Australia. We started Ben Brereton up front. I think I switched around the side potentially a little bit, not too like major changes or anything like that to, upset the balance, but I did change around a couple of players. So as you can see there, Australia bottom of the group after losing to Argentina in their first game. And as I said, we did switch it up. Rose coming to the side in place of Shaw. I know that. I think I brought on Walker as well to play at fullback. And there was a couple of changes as well in the midfield and attacking areas. I think Green even came into the side for this one in place of Butland. So yeah, we got a few Crew players in the side. Not as much as I would have liked, but we've got Brereton, we've got Green. And at the moment, those are the only two guys that have made it into the England setup and are playing here today for us on show. Brereton, Sterling, and of course Rashford up front. Such a good front three. We have the pace up there. The question is, have we got the quality? There's so much pace in that front three, it's actually not funny. But there is the side. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Loftus-Cheek. So Harry Winks missing out for this one. Instead, to allow Loftus-Cheek to get into the midfield three. And the reason I did that is because I felt like Loftus-Cheek, he brings that extra little bit of power. We've got Chamberlain alongside him as well, who's a consistent runner. He's a workhorse. And I just felt like we needed this against Australia. We needed to dominate the game and just create chances. And create chances we did. Walker on the ball inside 4 minutes. Found Dele Alli in the midfield. He feeds it off to Chambo. Chambo goes out wide to Rose. He then eventually whips the cross in towards the back post. Great little flick down from Raheem Sterling to Dele Alli. And he gave us the lead inside the 6th minute of the game. A really nicely worked goal as well. Good build-up play, and I felt like I was getting the hang of these players. You know, it's quite difficult when you come from playing at club level the way we did, playing the 4-4-2, switching it to a 4-4-3, and kind of having the 2 wingers that are pushed right up and only 1 up front, where Ben Brereton's used to playing in a front 2. It's kind of difficult to get used to it, but I'm glad we got used to it because we needed to do it very quickly indeed. Again, the side is remaining exactly the same for this one, as Dele Alli put us 1-0 in front, but when you play with the sliders the way we do, there's always an opportunity that we're going to concede a goal. I made a couple of tackles, couldn't quite win the ball back. It found its way through up the end of the pitch here for Australia. And again, another nicely worked build-up play, another nicely worked goal, and they got an equaliser 29 minutes into the game. So my defending wasn't ideal, to be fair, and that's something that I guess we've had a problem with recently at Crew. We're seeing it again at England level. Maybe it's the tactics that we're going into the games with. Maybe it's the training and stuff. I'm not so sure, but all I know is that defensively, again, we can't give away goals like that because it's not exactly like we've allowed them too much. We just didn't track the runners, and that was the problem. So back at all square, needing to get ourselves back in front again, and I thought we'd done it instantly. Rashford trying to work some space to try and get a cross in. Can't eventually do it, so he plays it to Chamberlain, who does get a cross in. Raheem Sterling again winning the flick on at the back post, but this time around, unfortunately, Loftus-Cheek couldn't do what Dele Alli did for the first goal. He was completely unmarked in the middle. All he's got to do is put that in the back of the net, but sadly, he put it wide of the post. As we move into the second half now, all square still here in this one. We did look to find that second. Rose to Winks, who came off the bench, into Ali. Ali, great turn on the edge of the area. Already scored 1 in the afternoon, and he gets himself a second. Driven shot, finding its way to that bottom corner to make it 2-1 to England. And they needed 3 points in this one. If we were to try and get out of the group, I felt we had to win the game against Australia. There's still a really tough game to come against Argentina in the last one of the group stage. So you don't want to be going into that one needing to win the game because it's added pressure. But all in all, it's been a tough afternoon here against Australia. But I'm just glad that we got back in front in the game. Dele Alli having a phenomenal game here today. Second goal of the game, second goal of the competition as well. We needed somebody to step up, and that's exactly what Dele Alli did. So 2-1 up in the game, but we weren't done there. Loftus-Cheek inside the 60th, 7th minute. Rashford to Dele Alli, into Rose, back to Ali. I genuinely thought he got his hat-trick. Great play. Unfortunately, even better defending from Australia. Clearing it off the line as Dele Alli looked for that hat-trick goal, and it would have sent us into 3 points, but sadly we could not do it. Eventually, though, we gave the ball away. Aaron Moy then plays one ball up. I get stretched so badly at the defence, and Australia make it 2-2. It's typical. Typical England. Typical me. As soon as we got back in front, I knew full well there'd be another chance for Australia, and I was just praying that Green would make a save. But unfortunately, he didn't do it. We were 2-2, 13 minutes left of normal time, thinking, if we get another draw here, we have to beat Argentina to get out. But then Brereton uses his pace, finds Rashford. It's not a clean strike by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't care because it meant that we were 3-2 up in a game, and all we had to do was defend for the last 12 minutes, something that we hadn't been able to do for the last 70. We now had to do it in order to pick up the victory here. Oh man, this game was so tough, let me say that. And into the 90th minute, I was just relieved when the referee brought it to a close. I was sat there thinking to myself, we gave away 2 goals, which we just simply shouldn't have given away. It was 2 defensive errors, 2, mistakes made, and overall they only had 3 shots. So, again, you question mark the goalkeeper. He's kind of strange because Green is one of those keepers that he's high rated, but it feels like he's useless. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of strange. But as it stood, Argentina had beaten Uruguay, which meant that they were on 6 points and topping the group over England, who are second on 4. So, as we go to Wembley, England's victory here would mean that they get out as group winners on 7 points. Argentina winning this one as well would also mean that they get themselves out as group winners. But I don't want to say too much. I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the game itself. So it's probably going to be England's toughest test of the group stage out of all 3 of the games. But in terms of the actual side, A draw here for England as well would have been enough to get them out, but they want to go through as group winners. They're not interested in getting a draw and going out of second place. They want this group winner status. So I was kind of thinking to myself at the time, do they push out? Do they just go all out and try and win the game? Or do we play a bit more conservatively and just think to ourselves, well, getting out of second place isn't as bad as it would be because, you know, CONFED Cup, there's less teams. Chances are that even if you get through a second place, all winners, it doesn't matter because you're going to be coming up against a really good team in the semis. Because if you didn't know how this works, guys, the CONFED Cup itself only has a semi-final and a final after the group stage. So that is why I was kind of thinking to myself, maybe, you know, it won't be that harsh on us if we did come in second comparing it to first. We're probably going to get a similar type of quality side. So as I showed you the sliders going into this game, there was part of me that was just thinking, let's just enjoy the game itself. But then Harry Kane, back in the lineup today after that injury that kept him out for 5 days of the competition in place of Brereton. There was a case that Brereton should have started here. Even more so after Harry Kane had his first opportunity and skied it over the crossbar. The first chance for Kane, scoring bags of goals at Spurs. But in terms of his, kind of England career, he's been pretty decent as well. But under myself, I'm kind of preferring Ben Brereton. And that might be a little bit biased considering that I am the crew manager. And that's probably why. Let me know what you think. Who would you have started up front for this competition? Do you go with form? If so, it's Ben Brereton, who scored the most goals in the Premier League out of any player last season. Do you go for Harry Kane, with him being 90 rated and arguably England's best striker currently? Let me know who you would have started in your team if you had to. But we eventually found the breakthrough inside 28 minutes when Raheem Sterling got back on the ball after we hit the crossbar with Tammy Abraham, and we ended up scoring to make it 1-0. And it was a nicely worked goal, actually. Argentina just not clearing their lines, and eventually we found the strike to get it home with Raheem Sterling. At this point as well, I'd switched to a 4-1-2-1-2. We weren't playing the 4-3-3 anymore. We went with Abraham and Harry Kane up front, Raheem Sterling as the cam, Wilshere, and I can't remember who the other midfielder was, and then Harry Winks, like in CDM. That's what I went with. The reason for that, a few fitness issues, but ultimately I felt like the 4-3-3 wasn't working. I also switched to the 4-1-2-1-2 as well when we went to 1-1 against Australia, and it seemed to pay off. So I was like, okay, let's go with the same formation here. 1-0 up in the game inside 35 minutes as Raheem Sterling was taking his corner, and we were looking to add a second to the mix when Sterling's corner found its way out towards Winks, who gave it straight back to Sterling. Argentina just didn't pick up their man, and Harry Maguire ghosted in at the back post to give us a 2-goal advantage. Again, a really nicely worked set piece, a really nicely worked goal. But Argentina, they just didn't concentrate. Like, they had the opportunity to clear this one, and they tried too quickly to get out of their box. They just didn't watch the rest of the men inside the area. That was their problem. You can see Maguire's completely unmarked, and I'm sure from an Argentina's coach perspective, they will not be happy with the way that that one has gone in. They have some quality players, Argentina, Dybala, Messi still in the side as well. So this one was going to be tough, but to say that England were the better side would be an understatement because they really took the game to them inside the first 40 minutes or so. 2-0 up now as well. If they could get a clean sheet in this one, that would be the best case scenario. So as it stood, England going through as group winners means I get through to a semi-final next time out, hopefully against the easier of the two teams that will be left in from another group as well. But then Barkley was still in the first half here, finds himself with a 1-2 from Abraham. Eventually Raheem Sterling gets in. Tries to beat the keeper, can't do it on the first time of asking, but the luck is with England right now. It falls straight back to him, and he taps in the rebound to make it 3-0. Honestly, when you're playing well, you just get the luck that you need, and again, that's what's happening. Gotta say though, Sterling has really impressed me in this competition so far. He's had a bit of a hit and miss first game, but after that one against the game in Australia, and then that one here today against Argentina, he really stood out as one of the better performers in the side. He was taking a game to them and just basically using that pace that we needed him to get him in areas that was dangerous. And genuinely, he has had a great game today and probably going to be maybe one of the players of the competition. Watch this space. But it's his second of the competition after getting his first in the game earlier on. And it's 3-0 to England, and we're not even in half-time yet. Eventually, though, the second half did get underway. And as it stood, Argentina looking to find something that would have stopped their embarrassment at Icardi. So Rigoni, he finds Messi in the box, and just as I was complimenting Sterling earlier on, he ends up giving away a penalty kick. There isn't much in this, let's be honest. I feel like the referee was a little bit harsh here. It's a bit of a soft penalty, to be honest, and I don't feel that it was a penalty, but at the end of the day, it's Green with an opportunity to save from Paulo Dybala. He guesses completely the wrong way, and Argentina stopped the clean sheet that we were potentially looking for here. 48 minutes on the clock, it's 3-1, and that is just so disappointing. But hey, I decided the best way to get back in the game would be to grab another goal after that. As we can't get a clean sheet, I thought, tell you what, let's just go all out and try and get a big scoreline. Sterling already on course for his hat-trick, 3-1 up in the game, and he gets it with a driven shot. Good work, and his agility is just so good. He glides past players so easily, and that is his hat-trick goal right there, 55 minutes into the game. Making it 4-1 to England. We were battering Argentina here, and I just was genuinely surprised. Didn't know how on earth we'd pulled this off. We struggled in the first game against Uruguay. We struggled in the second one against Australia. And this time around, we're just battering Argentina as we add a fifth to the mix through Ross Barkley. Everything we touched today just seemed to turn to goals in general. And at this point, I'd stopped looking at the replays. I was like, I'm just going to keep skipping now because we scored 5. That was the end of the game, though. A 5-1 victory to England sets them up for a semi-final appearance next time out in the next episode of the CONFED Cup, guys. Really, I'm excited to see who they pulled, and I can confirm they have actually pulled Spain in that semi-final. I don't know who the other semi-final is. It's probably going to be Argentina and another team, but I don't actually know who it is. I haven't checked it out. But if you are excited for that, let me know with a comment down below. Next episode, of course, we'll play it out live. Hopefully see England win our first international silverware. But other than that, guys, that is how we end today's episode off. If you did enjoy it, a like would be greatly appreciated. As always, thank you so much for all of your support on the channel. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that button below. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload either. I'm going to try my hardest to get another video out at 4 PM tomorrow, but just beware, guys. Of course, I am working a 12-hour shift tomorrow and like a 10-hour tonight. So hopefully, I'll try my hardest, but I apologize in advance if it doesn't. Nevertheless, guys, I will catch you all again with another video very, very soon. Adios.